morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Tuesday, the 17th day of October, year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to the John Moore Show. Our prepper tip of the day, here it is. These words were first uttered to me when I was in basic training just over a half a century ago. Words that have helped me out many times in my life, and here they are. Take care of your equipment, and your equipment will take care of you. I say again, take care of your equipment, and your equipment will take care of you. A quick story in that regard. I recall reading about Carlos Hathcock, the U.S. Marine sniper during the Vietnam War. He would be out on an operation for 3 days, come back hot, sweaty, tired, dirty, hungry. First thing he did when he got back was to clean his rifle before he did anything else. We have a patient waiting in the green room, Mr. Norm Novatsky. And we're going to talk about a very special video that he's put together. The title of it is In Search of Liberty. And Norm, good morning, sir.
Good morning, John. Thank you for having me on your show.
I got an interesting story for you that I think you may find interesting. The lead character in your movie is Ben Franklin. A very dear friend of mine, he's now deceased, was a direct lineage descendant of Ben Franklin. His name was Bob Franklin. When he first mentioned this to me, I thought about it, and he says, John, just hold on a moment. He turned sideways, profile, and he took out a $100 bill, and he assumed a very calm demeanor on his face. And I looked at the $100 bill, and I looked at my friend Bob's face, and I was looking at the same person, basically. So the DNA just continued through 200 years. This DVD, ladies and gentlemen, available at insearchofliberty.com is something we're going to be talking about here. The website is insearchofliberty.com. Norm, how long did it take you to put this project together?
Well, this movie is 6 years in the making. It took a lot of research, a lot of contemplating on how we're going to do an exciting, fun, adventurous storytelling movie, not a documentary. And we didn't want to do what they call a period piece, meaning that the storyline would take place in the early 18th century. We wanted everything in the present. We thought the moviegoers would really be able to relate. And so we just kept on digging and digging and digging around for ideas. And I brought in I found a brilliant writer in Hollywood. Of all places, right? Hollywood? Who knows?
Right.
Anyway, so we found this writer, and his mindset was definitely along the line of the Constitution, and he knew it very well. He wrote a great story, and we went out and filmed his particular story through the script that he wrote, and the rest is history. The story, the film, the entire project was just exciting, fun, adventurous, and like anything in life, it has its ups and downs and challenges, which we did have, but we knew the importance of getting this movie done, so we just persisted, and 6 years later, we have In Search of Liberty.
Well, it's very well done, and the platform you've chosen is ideal given the society we live in now to combine fun and entertainment with good, hardcore knowledge of our Constitution. And it is fun, and it's entertaining. And we have a lot of homeschool families that listen to my radio show, grandparents of people who homeschool. I wouldn't restrict watching this to homeschool parents and their children. I believe everybody in the country should watch this, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is an educational film. It's on a very, very important subject, and but we actually created the movie in a way that young and old can watch it, have fun watching it, and at the same time have the experience of learning the key elements, in the Constitution. There's a couple of quotes, if I can give
Please,
you, with regards to educating the public, which
right.
I think that's the basic premise of and what really inspired us to do this movie. This is a quote, I believe, this is a quote by Benjamin Franklin. And in our movie, we never say the main character is Benjamin Franklin. We address him as Ben. And
right.
For those out in your listeners who know a little bit about the history of Ben, he was a very colorful character. He had a lot of interesting attributes. One of his key attributes was he loved gadgets. And so we took that particular attribute and we fulfilled that with, a number of gadgets in the movie. Like he drives a 2017 top of the line red, cherry red Corvette.
Right.
He has a Segway. Just different things that we added in the movie to just bring out that character of Ben. Anyway, here's a quote. He says, this is Benjamin Franklin, "We must indeed all hang together, or most certainly we shall all hang separately." And that's the point of the movie. We're trying to create a constitutional movement. We want people, to re-experience and get involved and really understand and know the Constitution. And we're doing it in the most fun and I would even say clarity and simple way. Another quote, and this is along the line of why we did the movie. One of the reasons, there was many. An educated citizenry is a vital requisite for our survival as a free people. That's a very strong statement. And so hopefully this movie has that kind of an effect, which, I'm confident that it is. And by the way, before we end or sometime in this interview, I have a challenge and I have something to give to your listeners. So remind me in case I forget.
Okay. Well, so we don't forget, why don't we just go ahead and do it right now, Norm?
Well, okay. We, as I said, our intention here is to get this movie in the hands of all Americans, all the American homes, any and all young and old folks that we can get this movie out to. For your listeners, and through the end of this month, which is October, if your listeners call in and go to our website, insearchofliberty.com, and order either a Blu-ray or a DVD or an HD digital, we're going to offer a 10% discount, as well as we're going to give a money-back guarantee. That's a money-back guarantee, meaning you get the film, you watch it, and you don't think that we have given you the expectations that we're actually expressing in and about the movie. Return the movie to us, and we will refund your purchase price of the movie. That's how certain we are that people will really, really like this movie and get the benefits out of the movie that we had intended it to be. So that's a 10% discount, money back guarantee. I don't think any movie production company or any studio or any independent producer or production company had offered something like this. But we're
I'm not aware of that. No, I'm not aware of that at all. So the entree to all that would be insearchofliberty.com, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then before I forget, I'm glad you brought that up. When they go to the website, and they'll see on the website what they call a promotional code. They just enter. We'll just do John as a promotional code. So, and they'll get their 10%, and they'll also
John.
get
Okay, John. John. Okay.
Promo code John, JOHAN, John.
Okay. Well, that's pretty simple. We like to keep things simple here. I was interested in the interaction of Ben with the grandmother in there, which was a very polite and discreet representation of the true character of Ben Franklin when he was in Paris. I was wondering how that was going to be handled. It was handled quite well. It was handled quite well in a manner appropriate for a family movie.
Yes. This is a family-rated movie for sure.
Absolutely.
And we know some of we know some, one of the attributes of Ben, but anyway, we kept it family oriented for sure. There's the little flirtation with the grandmother, but very, very, very,
It was very, very discreet and very polite.
Very discreet, yes.
And anybody who really knows Ben Franklin was chuckling like I was, but that's okay.
Yes. We all do. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you're in or near the business of Hollyweird, as it's sometimes called. What does it take to get this kind of production onto a big screen in movie theaters?
Well, John, one of the things we are doing is we have partnered up with a company that is actually going to put us in theaters around the country, and they do that through a social media platform where they will identify where that particular location will be for screening the movie, and then they get the word out. So, and that'll happen. But mostly right now, we are concentrating on getting the DVD out, and also it's in a Blu-ray form. And one of the reasons is because when you watch this movie, one, you get involved in the story, and also you are learning about the Constitution. While it does follow what would be called a fairly traditional format, the DVD is, the design allows viewers to quickly return to very specific areas for a quick review of the constitutional subject matter. Meaning, we have menus which are scene identification numbers. For example, we cover the First Amendment in the movie. You can watch the whole movie, put the movie in your library, then say one day you're sitting around the dining room table or the breakfast table, or you have guests over and you start having a discussion about the Constitution, and some debate comes up, some disagreement comes up, something unknowing about the Constitution comes up. Get your DVD, plug it into your DVD player, go to the main screen, and there you'll see the First Amendment. Click on that, and in about 1 minute, you get the answer to whatever you were discussing at the dinner table or the breakfast table. And we have probably 24 of those scenes. So it's also a reference point for specific information about the Constitution that's covered in the movie.
That's excellent. One of the unique things about our Constitution is that the men who drafted it were careful to not make it technology-driven. They were very neutral when it came to referencing things related to technology, so that, and even then, in the latter part of the 18th century, when they were drafting this, technology was already starting to move forward with interchangeable parts, for example, steam power, and electricity were all being looked at and experimented with. So they knew technology would change in the future, and they made sure that the Constitution was not restricted or limited by technology, didn't they?
Yes. That's true. When the founders got together and the delegates got together in it was 17. Well, the Constitution was done in 1787, but there was a lot of discussion. And there was first you had the Articles of Confederation, and that was between 1777 and 1781, and that was not necessarily
that was a disaster.
Workable. Not necessarily workable for the different states because it didn't unite the states. And then you had the Constitutional Convention, and you had there was a lot of delegates that believed in the sovereignty of individual states. Many felt that wouldn't work because of the necessary unity that they needed because of foreign factors and foreign invasion and the things that were going on in Europe. And then finally in 1787 the Constitution was then completed and then rectified shortly after that. And then, of course, they had the Federalist Papers that really laid out the whole reason why the Constitution was created. And again, it was for the people. So the founders didn't have a lot of attention, or at least they didn't. Let me say this. What was more relevant in those days was not necessarily technology, although some of that technology was evolving. It was more the fact that they had to unite a country, number one. They had to protect the liberty, freedom, and rights of its citizens. And I think that's where most of the focus was in and around that time period. And of course, as that got completed and evolved, and technology of course evolved at the same time. And today there are groups that are actually arguing: is the Constitution now relevant? Is it it's a breathing document?
That's what's taught in law school. That's what's taught in law school, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about law school is, and again about the movie, and my, I've read the Constitution a number of times. I had sat down with a law student, and we started talking about the Constitution, and just for the fun of it, not really telling her that I was doing this, I was sort of testing her. And it was really interesting that, as a law student, and of course, studying law is studying the Constitution is a requirement, constitutional law. But what the law students concentrate on, what the law universities concentrate on, they concentrate on court. What's the word am I looking for?
Procedures.
Precedents.
What precedents?
Gotcha.
Hold that thought, Norm. We have a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 17th of October, visiting with Norm Nowitzki, the producer and director of the excellent movie titled In Search of Liberty, available at insearchofliberty.com. That's insearchofliberty.com. Norm, I need to ask you, do you have your next project in mind already?
I actually do, and interestingly enough, it is another movie on the U.S. Constitution, but in an entirely different take and a different approach, partly animated, partly to real life. And in this particular movie, we're going to, in a very fun, comedical way, just pick different times over the last couple of decades how we either have applied the Constitution correctly or we have not. And do it almost, yeah. So we're working on that. Right now, though, our main attention is to get this movie out to as many American homes and folks, young and old, as we possibly can, because it's such an important, it's such an important movie and an important subject.
Well, Norm, I was a candidate for U.S. Congress in 1996, ran against Dick Gephardt. My campaign was national news for one day. That was the day the FBI revealed they found my credit report in Dick Gephardt's file cabinet. But one of the things I talked about during my campaign, that's pretty funny, I know, is, and first of all, there's a lot of push here, occasionally to have a constitutional convention, which I'm very fearful of and we should not have. And people want to fix there's nothing broken with the Constitution. The only thing that's broken is not following it. And I point frequently to Article 1, Section 8. That's the money spending authorization for Congress. Tells them what they can spend money on. And James Madison, as you and I both know, wrote most of the Constitution, including Article 1, Section 8. And he turned out to be in Congress as a congressman I was around 1818 or 1820, when they first started using the introductory phrase referring to the welfare of the United States as a clause. And he says, gentlemen, if I meant that to be a clause, why would I list 18 things you can spend money on? What would be the point if you can spend anything for the general welfare of the United States? And they continue to do that now 200 years later, don't they, Norm?
Yeah, they do, and it's unfortunate, and that's probably the demise, or could be, I'm not saying it is right now, but could be the demise of this great nation. And you're right, Article 1, Section 8.
You're being too polite. You're being too polite.
Well,
we have a $20 trillion debt. Most of it is unconstitutional spending, not authorized by Article 1, Section 8. And there will not be a good end to the national debt. It can't have.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
It's definitely it is a major threat. And you're right. And in Article 1, Section 8. Specifically, it's very clear. I don't understand why.
I'll tell you why.
Don't understand this. I do understand it, but I'm just, I was figuratively speaking. It's very clear, to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coins, and fix the standards of weights and measures. That's pretty clear. It doesn't say anything about the Federal Reserves here, does it, in the Constitution?
Not at all.
Have you ever seen anything?
They were very fearful of that happening. And when I was a boy, I'm 70 years old, I would still occasionally hear from older people, there were still Civil War veterans alive when I was a boy. And I would hear occasionally, not worth a continental, or not worth a continental dollar. That term was still in occasional use back in the early to mid-1950s. And that goes back to the Articles of Confederation and the paper money becoming valueless. We have a break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our Energy Cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here on Tuesday, the 17th of October. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Our project, and truly is our project, one human being could not possibly look at hundreds of thousands of hours of movies and TV shows the past 60-plus years. Our project of locating images of continents with new coastlines on television shows and movies continues to move forward. The list is growing and will continue to grow. All those images are posted at my website. Scroll down the left side. You'll see images as recently as a few weeks ago and as far back as the mid-1950s. If you find an image of a continent with new coastlines on a movie or TV show, or even a magazine, get that image to me, get a screen capture to me. You get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. Also at my website, of course, are energy cleaners for sale. Marvelous healing devices. That's what they are. If you have arthritis pain, it'll probably help. Joint pain, yep, help there. Back pain, yeah, help you there also. Not getting a great night's sleep, well, as my wife, Dr. Moore, says, when you sleep is when you heal. So check out the energy cleaners. They're only $285, shipping included to American zip codes. Keep in mind, I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do, from me to you personally. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads that go with the energy cleaner. It's a great combination. I do take PayPal, MasterCard, and Visa. Checks can be sent to my address at thelibertyman.com. Toll-free hour line, 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Norm. Norm is the director and producer of In Search of Liberty. The website is insearchofliberty.com. Special promotion, you get a discount if you put in the promotion code John, John, when you make your purchase. Norm, let's continue.
Good. We were discussing. Well, let me say this. I mean, we're at a turning point in our country, and I'm sure your listeners are cognizant of the fact that we have been on a sort of dangerous road as it affects our liberties, freedoms, and our rights. You know, in some circles you hear the Constitution is an antiquated document. The argument being the Founding Fathers couldn't foresee a developing society with high tech, etc., like we had earlier spoke.
Right.
There was even a federal judge who made an outlandish statement. I'm sure you heard of this. It was in the, I believe it was the
probably the Ninth Circuit.
Washington Times a little while back. And he said judges should stop studying the Constitution. I mean, that's outrageous, absolutely outrageous. So when you have that kind of circumstance happening in our country, we do have to stand up and do something about it. I mean, you have a quote from Washington that I had pulled out. He said, "The Constitution is the guide which I will never abandon." That was George Washington. Then we have a Jefferson quote: "Enlighten the people generally, and tyranny and oppression of the body and mind will vanish like evil spirits at the dawn of day." It's almost like poetry, but it's really a relevant subject that your listeners, I'm sure, are aware of how important it is to really maintain the integrity of the Constitution as it was written by the founders. And what we do here at In Search of Liberty is hopefully we get the movie out, and we'd like people or help people to rediscover the U.S. Constitution and to bring it back into the mind and hearts of all Americans. I think all Americans should be exposed to this movie, but the reality is there are forces in play here that have other intentions for America. So the only thing I can say is we need to stand strong. We need to be united. We need to have a common goal of keeping our Constitution intact, not letting anybody, whether it's a representative or even a neighbor or a friend, think that this Constitution is irrelevant. And the only way you can do that is by knowing and being familiar with and understanding the Constitution, because then you can take a strong voice. And In Search of Liberty, I believe, does that. It helps you get that understanding. You may, a lot of your listeners may have a great grasp of the Constitution. We have had a number of people who actually had a good understanding of the Constitution, and they watched the movie and would come and tell me that, Norm, believe it or not, we actually learned something from this movie, and they were absolutely delighted that they had the opportunity to watch the movie. Can I have the opportunity of maybe giving you some
Please.
responses to the movie after some people have seen it?
Okay.
One of the responses, this is after the movie was screened, and this person said, In Search of Liberty is a brilliant educational film. This makes the Constitution real, understandable, approachable, and therefore defendable. And that's my argument. We want to be able to defend the Constitution, but we can't defend the Constitution unless we know what it is and what it is about. And also, we need to know the history behind it. And in Search of Liberty, we not only cover the key elements of the Constitution in a very visual, fun, entertaining way, we also cover some history, also in a very visual way. Another review that we got after somebody saw the movie. Such a unique and fresh approach to teaching basic principles of our U.S. government. The humor is delightful, fun, truly entertaining. And this last one I'd like to share with your audience. A fantastic introduction to arguably the most important subject in American education. So we're really happy that we're getting these kind of reviews, and we're so thankful we're able to get this movie done and out and share it with the folks, with the American public.
Well, it's an excellent job you've done there. Norm, we got a caller on hold here. We got Rick in Missouri. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, guys. I want to pare my comment down so that it's succinct and palatable. I was invited once upon a time to something that someone invented. It was a concept about vacationing, and it took 2 hours for them to try to explain to me what they were doing. But in short, this is what they did. They wanted you to turn over something of value, and then for that, they would give you imaginary credits. With those imaginary credits, you could purchase something that they would essentially create out of thin air and then tell you what the value of that would be. Now, I know this sounds completely ridiculous because I just summed the whole thing up, but there was an entire room full of people actually participating in buying this, and every single time somebody made a bad decision, they would pop a bottle of champagne and give it to them. This is precisely what the American government, our government, this is how they handle everything. They essentially make up a phony currency, then they kind of control the other side of the market, basically tell you with regulations, and we got plenty of those, what things are going to cost and when you can have them and how much of it you can have, and this is what they do, and they do this right in your face, and it's become so ordinary that people look at it and they never even flinch. College education has sort of turned into what I would call more of a re-education. What really amazes me, and I know I've made this comment before, is what kind of a group of people, they've dumbed down the educational process to the point where, your comments like George Washington made and Jefferson about this exact subject, about education and just being aware. They've dumbed down the educational process to the point where either people, I don't know if they don't care or they're so drugged out and numbed out, but these people get away with murder. But what really amazes me is what group of people pursues evil over such a period of time with such great fervor that they manage to essentially incarcerate in plain sight an entire society. It is just mind-boggling to me. And I can't tell you I have the answer. Prepping is probably just a little bit of it, but I don't know how else a guy could defend himself. Anyway, that was really all I wanted to say.
Okay, Rick, we appreciate the call.
All right, thank you, Rick.
Yeah. Well, this is not the format to go into the nuances of the New World Order on one hand. On the other, the answer to Rick's question is what can you do? And that's you take care of your children and your grandchildren. You educate them. We can't change the world, but we can change what's going on inside our families and inside our neighborhoods. Can't we, Norm?
Absolutely. And again, there's a Jefferson quote, educate and inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. That's the bottom line. Educate, educate, educate. And it is our responsibility to be educated. And then we can then have better judgment in who we put in to represent us. Can I give you some really crazy statistics here?
Please.
These are jaw-dropping. About 1 in 10 Americans, 12%, say the Bill of Rights includes the right to own a pet. That's 1 in 10 Americans. And that was according to a new survey by the Annenberg Public Policy Center of the University of Pennsylvania. It's mind-boggling. You have there's another really good quote, if I can find it real quickly. Bear with me 1 minute. In the meantime, well, I'll give you this quote. It's not the one I was thinking of, but I'll give it anyway. Only 1 in 3 Americans, that's 31%, could name all 3 branches of the U.S. government, while just as many, 32%, could not identify even one. So it comes back down to education. Absolutely. Educate, educate, educate. Familiarize yourself with the Constitution. Familiarize yourself with the actions that your representatives are presenting or doing, and see how it relates to their responsibility with the Constitution.
Let me expand on what you're saying here, Norm. I entered the legal profession in 1972, 45 years ago, not quite half a century ago. I've sat across the desk and I've been in conference rooms with hundreds of attorneys these past 45 years. Men and women who have graduated from law schools and have law degrees and are admitted to the Bar Association, whatever state they might be in, ranging from all over the country. I have now. I have on occasion, not frequently, but on occasion, over coffee, during some discretionary time with these different attorneys, I found out that most of them did not know. They did not know that the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States is not part of the federal government of the United States. Now, these are men and women with high levels of education, high intelligence, obviously, successful in their chosen career, a career that involves study of how our government works, at least a little bit. And even at that level, Norm, they did not know that the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States of America is not part of the federal government of the United States of America. So what does that say for the rest of the population, Norm?
It's absolutely alarming. You know, what's interesting, John, is we cover that subject in the movie in a very simple, very clear way. And you can be 8 years old, 12 years old, and probably sit and debate one of those attorneys and have a better chance of winning that debate than they would. Well, here's another scary factor and statistic. This was done by the Tribune Foundation survey, and they found only one adult out of 1,000 could correctly name the 5 freedoms guaranteed under the First Amendment. That's 1 in 1,000. And of course, the 5 are religion, speech, press, peaceably to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances. But that when you don't have that understanding or that knowledge, then you can be taken advantage of, and your liberty, your freedom, and your rights can be diluted, dismissed, or even so much as taken away, whether it's through a soft tyranny or an aggressive tyranny. But if you know what your rights are, and if you know your constitutional rights, and you have a strong voice, the chances of that happening, especially if we're united, of course as an individual it's very difficult, but if we're united and you have a mass of people knowing what their rights and freedoms and liberties are as it's covered in the Constitution, the idea that they can be taken away is a lot less threatening than it is when you don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're at a point now where most public schools have stopped teaching cursive writing, which means you can't read cursive writing, which means these youngsters cannot walk up to the Declaration of Independence or the U.S. Constitution in Washington, D.C. and read it. Now, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's really scary, that these youngsters cannot read. And, of course, they don't have a signature. My sister-in-law found out that her nieces, who are a senior in high school, did not have a signature because she wasn't taught cursive writing. So she prints her name and thinks that's a signature, which of course it's not. The speed at which things are getting out of control is breathtaking. And do you ever feel like you're the Dutch boy putting his fingers in the holes in the dam there, Norm?
Hopefully the dam and the hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Your finger needs to get, has got to swell up more and more and more to keep the dam from overflowing. But what it is, again, John, it goes back to the educational system. And another thing in our movie In Search of Liberty, we cover that as well. So there's so much information in this movie, and there's so much knowledge and understanding of what the Constitution is and where we are today as a society here in America that's covered in the movie. And again, it's done in a very fun, entertaining way. And I just really, really, really want to stress to your listeners that this is such an important subject. It's such an important document, and you don't have to now sit down and read the Constitution. Well, that's a pretty good idea to do, but the movie can help a little bit, and the movie can give you a strong foothold on the basic understanding of the Constitution and what your liberties and rights are. But again, back to the educational system. Unfortunately, I have to say that our educational system is failing all of us in that way, and there is no real study going on in the schools about the Constitution. And I think the approach is, the professors and the educators, they insert their own personal ideological viewpoints when presenting the Constitution to their students. So the students are not thinkers. They're more indoctrinated by what their professors think and what their professors think about the Constitution and their attitude towards the Constitution. And that is very, very dangerous.
It is.
And again,
right.
Yeah, again, I have to say, if you have a copy of In Search of Liberty, that's almost like an antidote to that kind of approach.
It is. It is.
The movie is good medicine, I can say that.
The doctrine, and it is a doctrine, that the U.S. Constitution is a living, breathing document, is a fabrication, it's a fantasy, and that's what's being taught in these public schools and in law schools, by the way, which is very dangerous.
Right.
If I had a living, breathing document contract with a home remodeler, I could come home thinking from vacation that my shower had been fixed to find out I got a whole new bathroom. If my contract with the contractor was a living, breathing document. That's crazy, but that's what's being taught, isn't it?
Crazy. What I say to that statement when somebody says it's a living, breathing document, I say, okay, I want you to get a mirror, and I want you to get a copy of the Constitution, and I want you to put the Constitution close up to the mirror and tell me if you see any breath on the mirror.
Exactly.
That, I know it's, but anyway, you're absolutely right. And again, In Search of Liberty, hopefully is a tool that can be used to at least start to turn things around with regards to this approach, especially with the educational system.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, it's insearchofliberty.com. I say again, insearchofliberty.com is where you need to go. You need to buy this. You need to use a promotional code. Put John in the promotional code to get a discount. How much is that discount, Norm?
10%. 10%. The holidays are coming up. It'll be a great gift for friends and family and maybe people who think the Constitution is a living, breathing document. We have people, we're doing very well with our distribution. We have folks we had one person that bought 50 of these DVDs just to give out. We have seen in our sales people buying 2, 4, 6, 10 copies at a time. So, we're really, really, really happy that people are getting interested in this type of movie. They're getting interested in learning about the Constitution through this movie, and hopefully that'll extend out to people, reaching out for other subject matters that have to do with governing and other instruments that help them understand what it means to be an American citizen. And
absolutely.
And we're also hoping Hollywood picks up. Here's another thing that I want your listeners to understand, which is really, really important too. If we can show through our distribution sales that there's a lot of interest for this movie, just maybe other independent filmmakers might be woken up to the fact that, hey, maybe we should do a relevant, important movie that has a message that's relevant to the people, and start creating important movies and maybe even documentaries, and then we'll have a new kind of environment as far as movie making goes.
That would be great. That would be a very worthwhile goal, and I certainly hope that is exactly what takes place. Norm, we're down to about the last 60 seconds here. What do you want to leave our listeners with?
I want to thank you for having me on your show. I want to let your listeners know that this movie is an important movie, and at the same time, it's a fun, entertaining movie. And again, as I said, we are so confident that you will like the movie, people will like the movie, that we are standing behind it with this money-back guarantee, meaning you can buy the movie, you can watch the movie, and if you don't think this is a movie that represents what we had just discussed here on the radio, then send the movie back to us, and we will refund the entire purchase of the movie that you bought. And also, you get a 10% discount in purchasing
absolutely.
the movie.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you need to get this movie. I've watched it. I endorse it. And it's a great film for everybody. I don't care if you're 5 years old or 95 years old. You need this movie. Norm, thank you for being with us. We're out of time.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Top of the hour break. We'll be back with Leon Green. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Tuesday, the 17th of October. Preparative of the day. This is a quote from my drill sergeant in basic training half a century ago. Words that I've always remembered and made good use of, words that have helped me a lot over my life. And here's the quote. Take care of your equipment, and your equipment will take care of you. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Here it is again. Take care of your equipment, and your equipment will take care of you. Now, this means everything. Your boots, your clothing, knives, guns, automobiles, chainsaws, cooking equipment, electronic equipment, your carpenter tools, plumbing, electrical tools. Take care of your equipment, and your equipment will take care of you. Words to live by. We patient Wayne in the green room, somebody who does live by those words, by the way, Mr. Leon Green, a gentleman who's taken the time, made the effort to become quite knowledgeable of all the numerous things, all the nuances involved with incorporating doTERRA essential oils into your daily life. Good morning, Leon.
Good morning, John. How are you doing, sir?
Really good. And you do, in fact, take care of your equipment, don't you, sir?
Absolutely. I just moved my diesel generator out of the hills, and I'm getting some more maintenance done on it, PMS, as always. And yes, I agree with that statement from your drill instructor, because obviously whether it's a firearm or surgical kits, you need to take care of them, because you may need them to save your life and the life of your family.
Well, last week you were in the process of getting some training in what would it be called, high performance driving or defensive driving, or let's scare the hell out of Leon Green driving, or what was it?
All three categories, you're right.
Okay.
It's very difficult for people, the average person. The first 2 or 3 people had problems smashing into the other car, ramming it, because we've been indoctrinated forever not to touch another car, with your car. Right. And so the first couple of people were kind of, reluctant. By the time I got in line, I was like, bam! But they didn't want you to be violent when you did the impact. They wanted you to, other than the ramming, but other than that, when you were driving down the road at 40 miles an hour and you came up to the back bumper and you just moved it over and spun the car around, and it was very, very liberating to do that.
I bet. Well, congratulations. You got your diploma from the school, I assume.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I'm jealous. I wish I could have been there and been part of that. I've got 2 books here. In fact, I'm holding each one. Modern Essentials, 5th edition, and Modern Essentials, I believe this is the 7th or 8th edition. Well, the 9th edition just came out. What was the one that just came out?
Yes, sir, the 9th edition?
9th. Yeah, I think this is the 8th edition. They're both hardbound, large format, full color, very professionally printed and bound. A book that could be found in the library, and is found in the library of the doctors that I work with. I work with a number of doctors, both medical doctors and chiropractors, both. And these are reference books, aren't they, Leon?
Absolutely. And that was the intention, so people could learn how to use the oils and provide them to your doctors when you're educating them about the power of the oils, because
exactly.
The doctors are yes. So doctors are told, okay, this is how the body systems work, and these are how the chemicals will impact it. Well, the chemicals are derived or taken from a natural product when they are essential oils, whereas the petrochemicals are knockoffs or imitations of the real things. And that's why you see at the end of all the commercials, this may cause the whole list of side effects because they are not natural products. And that's why we lose over 250,000 people in America each year because of side effects from drugs applied from doctors who believe what they're doing in the right dosage, but the body still doesn't accept it for numerous reasons. So it is it's a great book and reference to educate doctors and medical staff.
It is, and the way it's laid out, we keep ours in the kitchen, right where they're handy. If something comes up, some health-related matter, or even other things such as rodent control or insect control or mold control. The book's right there, handy for quick reference, and it doesn't take you 8 or 10 minutes. It takes 2 or 3 minutes to get to the place where you want to be, doesn't it, Leon?
Absolutely. It's very simple and intuitive. And I mean, if you know what the issue is, whether it's breathing or digestive issues or a pathogen, it's very, very simple and understandable.
It is. And these are routine things that individuals and families deal with 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's just part of life is dealing with the little things that come up. And what we do with Modern Essentials and doTERRA Essential Oils is have easy, safe, healthy, cost-effective ways to deal with all little things that come up just living life day to day, don't we, Leon?
Yes, sir. And that's one great advantage. I mean, even a friend of mine who was really into preparedness yesterday, he was driving back from Missouri, Oklahoma area, and he got food poisoning. And he was the only person in his family that had it, so I don't know what he ate. But he was down for the count. He was vomiting every 3 to 5 minutes. And he knows about the power of the oils, but it's just surprising. When people get sick, as in explosive vomiting and diarrhea, that's almost as if their mind shuts down too. And I had to send them.
It's opposite. All right. Well, I mean, a person in that kind of right.
Yes.
You can't expect somebody in that kind of chronic situation to be thinking clearly. I mean, they do the best they can. But, ladies and gentlemen, here's what we're talking about: doTERRA Essential Oils. And here, if you want to incorporate these into your life, like I do and like Leon does, 2 things. First of all, send me an email. My email address is thelibertyman@AOL.com. thelibertyman@AOL.com. By return email, I will send you my doTERRA website link. Leon, a couple of weeks ago, we tried giving out the website link, and it turns out if you put that in your browser, you won't get where you want to be. You'll be someplace else. But
that's unusual because...
Well, we did an experiment. Maybe some people may have success, but we know this is what works. What works is to send me an email, and by return email, I'll send you a link. All you got to do is click on it in the email, and you'll be there instantly. Second thing, get yourself 2 copies of one book, 2 different editions of one book, I should say. The 5th edition, which has things in it that they're not allowed to print anymore because of the Food and Drug Administration and their crazy guidelines. And then the 9th edition, which is published last month in September of 2017. Between those 2 books, you'll have the knowledge that you need, and with my doTERRA website, you'll have the access you need to the purest, most powerful essential oils on the planet. Right, Leon?
Absolutely. It's very simple, and we always talk about kits, and that's the best way to get them is, because even the basic kit, the Home Essentials kit, has, will address probably 85% of the most natural body solutions and systems. So it's very simple, and I have friends who I've been using them now on both sides of the border. They're in Canada, and they meet me out in Pahrump, and we go out there, and both the mother and the father realize how powerful the oils are. And when I told them about, preparedness, that, you should have a batch of, the oils in case there's something like a crazy EMP or even a solar flare that impacts their way home, that they have something that can get them through the long trip all the way back up to Saskatchewan. And she asked, well, what oil should I get? And I went down the list for emergencies. And she was like, and the husband was proud because he was the one who took the lead, and he found out about it. And he said, I have every one of the oils. And I said, that's great, but the ones you should continue to stock up on are the ones that are super antibiotics and that are very effective in negating, the most problematic issues during your crisis. And those are the ones you stock up, because it's not only for you and your family, but you're going to have people on your team and people you're going to come across that you want to be able to assist and bless. And so, and I have, in the past, I've gotten Sudafed and things like that, and I have those because the people who are so blatantly ignorant about the power of the oils, and they're like, they're just going to poo-poo the ideas. Like, okay, if you're used to the drugs and that's all you're going to take, here, you can have the Advil. But I'm not going to do it. My family knows how toxic it is, but because of your ignorance and your naivete, you can deal with that. And some of those things probably will have expired if, at the rate we're going. It may happen in the next 6 months. It may happen in the next 6 years. But I'm not going to throw it away because that's their level of understanding. So I'm going to continue to get the oils, the doTERRA's oils specifically, and put them throughout the nation and bury them and cache them for my own team and my own protection. But yeah, if I find something, do I buy it blatantly? No, I normally don't. I don't buy things, unless it's clearance. And then for the people who are ignorant, that's what they can use because they don't know any better. And that's what our goal here is: educate them. Say, look, there's alternatives that are healthier, that are less expensive, that don't have shelf lives, that don't have side effects. And that's our goal here.
It is. And if you want to participate, we welcome you to participate. Become part of what Leon and I do every day, how we help our families be safe and be healthy, and that's using doTERRA essential oils. Leon, one of the services you provide is private, no-charge consultations to people who need that help, and your office telephone number is 303-495-2188. I say again, 303-495-2188. That's Mountain Time. Call Leon, set up an appointment to get that consultation, and you'll be on the road to better health, more energy, and incrementally. That's what we encourage people to do. Incrementally, wean yourself off the 4, 5, 6, 8, or 10 pharmaceutical products that you take every day. Right, Leon?
Yes, sir. And that's also the other advantage of having those books that you mentioned, is by having them, you can now have the tools. And even before you get the books, you can go to things like PubMed.org and find out information on what oils and what their uses are, and then provide those to your medical professionals, and they can now learn it along with you.
Leon, I was at a social event Friday, talking to a gentleman. He's a multi-millionaire. And I mentioned I had not had a pharmaceutical prescription since 1985, and he said, well, my most recent one was a Smarting. And he asked me, he says, John, how old are you? And I told him, and he says, you're old enough to be my father, and you're in better condition than I am. I said, well, Bob, I know that, and I'll be glad to help you and talk to you about nutrition. I know more about nutrition than most non-healthcare professionals do. In fact, more than many of them do, if they're medical professionals, medical doctors. But nutrition is an essential part of being healthy. The doTERRA essential oils can help a lot. But if you think the three main food groups are beer, pizza, and ice cream, we're going to be limited to what we can do with doTERRA essential oils, won't we, Leon?
Yes, sir. They are miraculous, but they are not. They are not like even the
not the silver
drug companies.
They're not the silver bullet.
Precisely.
Yeah, right. We know that.
And even and every so often you'll hear doctors say, "Well, you have to change your nutrition." And it's documented and well known that people are more likely to change their diet than to change their religion than change their diet. And I've seen it personally in which they did not. I mean, I had a friend, their relative has had diabetes, and he went right back to it after losing his leg, and then died subsequently in the last 4 months. And it's like,
oh, I know.
Okay,
I know. I've seen it right here in my neighborhood. A neighbor was. This is 10 years ago. My neighbor was walking from the little country store to his home 2 doors down with a 12-pack of diet soda on his shoulder. And I said, you can't keep drinking that stuff. You're gonna die. And I gave him a copy of the paper, the Artificially Sweetened Times. We buried this man 6 months ago from complications due to diabetes. My wife, Dr. Moore, found out she found out 25 years ago, 30 years ago, that people will not change their diet. Most people, most of the time, will not change their diet. And the example you give, Leon, is an excellent one, because people aren't going to change their religion. That almost never happens. And people will not stop eating what they want to eat, whether it's Doritos or diet soda, whatever it might be. They simply won't stop. Of course, diet soda is actually a physical addiction, not a mental addiction, but a physical addiction to the aspartame that's in that stuff. And it's an uphill battle, but you and I, Leon, we do what we can, don't we?
Absolutely, and it happens at one person at a time, just like your last guest. And I listened to the last half hour, and I'm going to be getting
Norm.
4 or 5 of those DVDs.
Right.
Yes, Norm, and he was very, and I heard about it, but then I realized that, I have so many friends that have helped me, one at a time, about the political system and about America, and then others talked about the finances. So, you may be that one person that can share the essential oils with others and make a huge impact in their lives, and especially during crises. So, it's not only for, many people think, we're only talking about crisis, why you'd use oils. But no, every day, whether you're dealing with the spiders in your house, brown recluse and black widows, peppermint is fantastic for that. One of your listeners, she was having some issues with stomach, and I told her about, peppermint, putting new belly butter in her navel or under her tongue. And she said, that stuff is great. And she just responded yesterday saying, thank you so much. And so even though she's been using them for the last, month or so, every day she's learning more applications. And that's where the book helps a lot. And communicating with people who have been using them for years makes a huge impact. And so they're
absolutely.
Simple.
Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 17th of October. We're visiting with Leon Green. We're talking about doTERRA essential oils, a marvelous thing to incorporate into your daily life. The essential oils are safe, they're effective, they're cost-effective, and you can replace your pharmaceutical prescriptions with these safe, effective oils that have been around for a millennium, actually. When it gets started, here's what you do. Send me an email. My email address is thelibertyman@aol.com. By return email, I will send you my doTERRA website link. That's number one. Number two, get yourself a couple of copies of the following book, Modern Essentials. You want the 5th edition and the 9th edition. 9th edition just came out last month in September this year. Those two reference books and the doTERRA website, you've got the tools you need to incorporate doTERRA essential oils into your daily life and help you have the healthy, happy, fun, full, productive life that everybody wants. Right, Leon?
Absolutely. And it's a very easy path to get started on, and this journey of education about your body and the natural impact from components that are found in nature, in trees and roots and flowers and leaves. It's going to be ongoing. I mean, on that website, PubMed.org, there's over 40,000 studies on essential oils. And so you can use it to educate yourself as well as medical professionals who want to see the hard analytical research that they use when they do their own drug administration.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking about these oils. We do this every Tuesday for an hour, and we educate people and help them understand that what Leon does and what I do every day is something that they can do also. I'm at a point in my life where people my age are having chronic conditions that are slowing them down. They've worked hard in their chosen career. Majority of my peers are retired. Many of them have discretionary income to travel and do fun things, but they can't. Many of them can't. Many of them can't walk, barely walk with discomfort. Spend their time, many of their days, going back and forth to various medical doctor appointments. It doesn't need to be that way, does it, Leon?
Absolutely not. I love meeting the vital and energetic people throughout all ages of life. And when you can use nutrition with alternatives, then your body will be able to repair itself naturally. And so it's crucial in common days, but it's especially important when the food that you have during emergencies is going to be many cases compromised unless you have organic long-term storable food. You're already starting off behind the power curve, and if your water's going to be tainted like it is in places in Houston, weeks after that, in Puerto Rico, which is even still in the dark in many cases, you're going to be dealing with all sorts of issues, and something as simple as back pain or staying awake or even getting to sleep will have a huge detrimental effect on your preparedness and your ability to protect yourself and your family.
That's right. That's right. Well, all these things work together. The preparedness things that we do, the training that we get, all the training in the world is pointless if you don't have health and energy to carry out your duties that you've been trained for. Right, Leon?
Yes, sir. I think about that. I have friends who they always come up with one reason or another why they can't do a training, right? Even if it's local, and it blows me away.
I know. I agree. Here's our break. Call number 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Here on Tuesday, the 17th of October. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. I got a big change coming in about a little more than a week. John's survival and tactical gear, all the Amazon related products there, which is about 200 or so, will all be taken down. Amazon has changed their business model. We may do something different in the future with Amazon. I haven't really figured out how to do that yet. But if you looked at those survival and tactical gear things previously that are for sale by Amazon at my website under John Survival and Tactical Gear, you might want to go ahead and make your purchase now, because that's all going to go away on, let's see, I believe Saturday the 28th, I think, is the last day that they'll be listed. So you got a little more than a week. Not quite 2 weeks to make one of those purchases. Also, of course, on my website are energy cleaners. They're not going away, at least not for the time being. As long as Tom Berryhill has his health, he's going to be manufacturing energy cleaners, and I'll be selling them. If you have arthritis pain, back pain, joint pain, you need an energy cleaner. You do, seriously. Not getting a great night's sleep, you need an energy cleaner. So go ahead and get your energy cleaner now. It's only $285, shipping included to American zip codes. Keep in mind, I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Also, check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads. This is my home business. When you place your order, I'm the guy that boxes them up. I take them to the counter at the Little Country Post Office in Cherryville, Missouri, and I ship them out. That's what I do. I take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. Checks can be sent to my address at thelibertyman.com. I have a toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Leon Green, we're talking about doTERRA essential oils. You have a question or comment about the oils? Well, give us a call here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443, 800-313-9443. Leon, it's a complete package. People need to understand that health is not just one thing or another. It's everything combined, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's just like preparedness. You know, you want to have, you want to have security, you want to have food, you want to have water, shelter, all those things, because, without shelter, you may have the best firearm in the world, but if you freeze to death that night, it's all for naught. So they're all interconnected.
That's right. So these things are interconnected. It's not just a matter of doTERRA essential oils and the book, Modern Essentials, 5th edition, 8th edition. It's changes in diet, changes in exercise, changes in attitude. Attitude means a lot, doesn't it, Leon?
Yes, sir. Mindset. There have been documented reports of people who, one pilot, I remember, it was a military pilot, crashed up in Alaska, and within an hour he had committed suicide because he thought nobody would find him. And there have been other people, civilians, who've lasted months because of the mindset, I'm going to get back to my family and I'm going to survive. So it doesn't matter, where you are in the spectrum, but the mindset has a huge impact on your success and survivability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, get started, make your decision, get started. Here's the two things you need to do. Very simple. Get yourself a copy of the 5th edition and the 8th edition of the book, Modern Essentials. They're available at Amazon.com, of course. And then send me an email. My email address is thelibertyman@AOL.com. By return email, I will send you my doTERRA website link. If you're just getting started, I know it can be overwhelming. There's more than 80 oils now, isn't there, Leon?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming. Here's the best thing to do, really, seriously. The best thing to do is look at the kits. You can get the biggest kit that you can afford. All the kits are excellent, even the entry level with the fewest number of oils is a good starting point, and then just build on that from there. Right, Leon?
Yes, and for people who are just getting started in this whole concept, it's a very simple way. And when you have the book, once you have the kit, then the books will explain how to use the oils you have. And then if you have something that is very specific, that one oil is fantastic. For a good example, cypress. Cypress is phenomenal for circulation. So people who have Raynaud's disease, it's a problem with tingling in their toes and outer extremities, toes and fingers. Cypress is phenomenal in that regard. So it increases circulation naturally. And so that's not in the basic kit, but you can always add that on, and it's like $14 for the large bottle, the 15 milliliter bottle. So when people have specific issues like that, then they can they can get a kit and do add-ons. So it's really simple. And when you have the book, you have the education, and you can always reach out to me and for consulting, and I'd love to answer any other questions. And we will do the research to find out exactly what you need to get your issues addressed.
That's right. Well, it's one-stop shopping. We take care of all of it, don't we, Leon?
Yes, sir. And because of our width or depth and breadth of knowledge, it's funny when I have people call me and they say, "Well, where did you get your excuse me, where did you get your night vision?" Or what bipod do you like best? It's funny because having worked with and been on the range so many times, I can see the things that work and don't work. And so I have a huge depth of knowledge, and having done this for over 25 years, I've learned a whole lot of information.
That's right. That's right. And you can access Leon's base of knowledge by giving him a call if you need a private consultation. Give him a call. His hours are Mountain Time hours. That office telephone number is 303-495-2188. And get started. I sometimes talk about energy cleaner procrastinators. Well, there's also essential oils, doTERRA essential oil procrastinators, aren't there, Leon?
Yes, sir. And I mean, I understand the human ability when they don't have all the information to, or human tendency, to, when the mind is confused, it shuts down. And so what we want to do is, when you have a kit, you can learn, and you have the book, it will teach you. And so, just like having manuals, whether for your vehicle or how to change or swap out a motor or how to do, minor suturing on a cut that you wouldn't have access to a veterinarian or a doctor in the future. Those things you can learn, and you can take the classes. I mean, Dark Angel Medical was a class I took that was very informative, specifically about combat trauma. And now I'm moving to the more advanced classes. So, when you have the books, they're references. And so, just like having the manual for night vision, a set of night vision goggles, they're imperative or thermals, to have it and use them. So, we have that same mentality now, is not only acquire the equipment, like John was talking at the beginning, but maintaining it, but also learning how to use it to its maximum ability.
That's right. That's right. It all fits together. One, in the absence of another, is an incomplete picture, isn't it, Leon?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Well, then, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. You want the complete picture? Well, get started. What are you waiting for? Are you hurting? You don't have the energy you want? You're taking prescription medications that are expensive, dangerous, and in the event of EMP, which, according to the former director of the CIA, Mr. Woolsey, he says that those two satellites that go over my head here in the central part of the country every 12 hours, the North Korean satellites, they do in fact have nuclear devices in them, which we've been wondering about that for years, haven't we, Leon?
Yes, sir. And all those Iranian...
Right.
Yes. And even the Iranian, the
right.
freighters, all those, they say, oh, it didn't work, and the U.S. writes it off. Those are just tests. Make sure they could get it off the freighter, out of the hole and into the orbit. And so if they launched it from, right off the coast of Louisiana or on the East Coast, which produces 75% of all the electricity for North America, they would be effective in a very short amount of time, and we wouldn't even have time to react to it.
That's right. No time to react. Now, we don't know if this is going to happen. We know what could happen. We don't know what's going to happen. But the threat of EMP is a clear and present danger. If that was to happen, the power grid down, pharmaceutical prescriptions are not going to be available. The time to wean yourself off incrementally, one product at a time, is right now. While we have what appears to be, it might be a complete illusion, but it appears to be an illusion of time to get these things done. It's going to take about a month or so, and I'm just kind of throwing that out as a basic timeline. About a month to wean yourself off these pharmaceutical products incrementally, 1 month for each product, right, Leon?
Yes, if you have the education and you provide this information, and I love it when the issue is objective versus subjective, like sleep, versus something like high blood pressure or diabetes. When you have a specific number to gauge. But yes, that's a good time frame, is a month. And some of them that are really addictive, like the opioids, it may take longer because you've been addicted to them, Vicodin and Oxycontin and all those for. It may be years, and some people don't even make it to years because they've died because of the addiction. So it is something that is crucial. And I mean, just in the last 3 months, with the two hurricanes Irma and Harvey, the United States Post Office sent out statements saying they're not even in Florida for that matter too. They weren't even delivering anything to them. So if you had FedEx or UPS or USPS being sent to you for the pharmaceuticals, you would not be able to obtain so it's good to have a backup of whatever you do have, but it's even, in my eyes, it's even better to have something that doesn't have a shelf life, that won't be impacted by the post office if you have enough inventory. So, people are seeing that right now, and I guarantee the people who didn't have access to the pharmaceuticals through the mail system, or had to drive hundreds of miles to go get outside that area, we're taken aback at how much of an impact it has on their lives. The time to find out that is not when you're in the dark without food and water, to find out, hey, I don't have any kind of medical applications or anything to help keep my family in good shape.
That's right. Well, educate yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it, ponder it, but don't procrastinate. Procrastination is such an easy thing to do, but don't do that to yourself. Every day procrastinated is one day more of taking pharmaceutical products that are expensive and dangerous, right, Leon?
Yes, sir. And I mean, you see how the mainstream media and the fake news blows every incident, every shooting incident out of proportion. But have you heard him talk about the fact that he was on pharmaceutical narcotics and drugs, Valium and others?
Not very much.
No. And that's because the lobby committee, with their billions of dollars, are able to persuade their PAC is stronger and as strong than the NRA. And so you don't hear that. But, if all these shooters have been attached to all these pharmaceuticals, and going back to Columbine and further, but you don't hear that on the news. It's because, the vast majority of the marketing dollars comes from the pharmaceutical industry, along with the senators and Congress critters. And so because of that, they have bias, and that's really disappointing. But like what's his name, Rahm Emanuel said, don't let any crisis go to waste. So they're capitalizing on this right now, which is despicable, but that's politicians.
That's exactly what they're doing. But let's not stop that. Let's not let that stop us. We move forward. Despite the obfuscation, despite the lies, we move forward to do the right thing for ourselves, for the people we care about, to incorporate doTERRA essential oils into our daily life, build that inventory that our grandchildren and great-grandchildren could be using, because these things never expire. Oils haven't been found in King Tut's tomb that were still medically viable Right, Leon?
Absolutely. 3,400 years later.
Amazing. Well, you got your heads up. Just go ahead and do it. What's the point in waiting? I don't see any point in waiting. Do you, Leon?
No, and throughout the year, doTERRA has specials in which they give, they give oils away because not bonuses. They're bonuses because, they want people to be healthy. And so, doTERRA has changed the entire medical landscape in the last 10 years alone. And now the number of people who are looking for alternatives is, just for doTERRA alone, is over 5 million people. And 83% of those people are looking for it just for the medical benefits. They don't care about, the potential as a business. They just want to be healthy. And along the way, they help friends and relatives. And then it may be a year, maybe 3 years later, that they're like, wow, my grandma, my cousins, my coworkers are buying these from me, through doTERRA. And doTERRA is sending me referrals, just helping other people get healthy. I mean, think about how many referrals you have for movies that you like in this case, in Search of Liberty. So I'm going to be getting that because you've referred it to me twice on the radio. And so I'm going to be getting that. But I'm not, but how many referrals do you do through restaurants and places that you go that you refer other people and you never get any kickback because, for them it's just free advertising. Well, in doTERRA's eyes, it's like, look, we are educating the world, and because we are so successful, we want to benefit you for being such a good friend and relative. So that's our mindset of helping others help others.
It is, and it's an excellent mindset. It's a win-win proposition for everybody, and people need to look at this. These are not esoteric things. These are not things that come up very, very occasionally. Around the house, around everybody's home, whether it's an apartment, a home, a suburban home, a ranch, a farm, things come up every day where doTERRA essential oils can be of some benefit, right, Leon?
Yes, sir. I every day when I'm out in public, I meet somebody with some kind of issue, whether they have back problems and I can see them gimping around, or they have I saw one man in which I asked him in front of my daughter. I said, "Are you open to natural healing?" And he had a neck bandage on, and he had just had surgery 2 days earlier. And I saw him at a fair, and he said, "No, I just want my drugs." And my daughter looked at me and looked at him, and she wanted to say, "Is he retarded that he wouldn't even try something new because what he has wasn't helping him?" And so
hold that thought,
blows,
man.
Yes.
Hold that thought. We have a break. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 17th of October. You're sitting there thinking about essential oils, listening to Leon and I talk, and wondering and pondering. Well, the time for wondering and pondering is over. Let's get started. Send me an email. My email address is thelibertyman@AOL.com. By return email, I will send you my doTERRA website link, number one. Number two, go to Amazon.com. Get a copy of the 5th edition of Modern Essentials. Get a copy of the 9th edition of Modern Essentials. Just came out last month. You'll get them typically. Amazon delivers here in the States about 3 to 4 days. Most places in the 48 states. Once you've got those things, you're ready to move forward, aren't you, Leon?
Yes, sir. And just like that last commercial we heard, knowledge is power, and I take it one step further and say knowledge is power only if applied. You may know how to shoot, but if you haven't done any tactical shooting, there's a big shortage there. So what we're looking to do is take the action, obtain a kit, and get the books, and start using the oils every day. You can cook with them. You can use them on your pets and your livestock, and as your confidence grows and your knowledge grows, then you will also want to get more for your group. If you have a group, not everybody has groups, but people from your church, it'll make a big difference having the ability to be able to protect yourself and friends you care about and relatives. Because if you're the only person that's prepared in your family and things go south, you're going to have a lot of people at your doorstep, especially neighbors, not neighbors, but you may have neighbors too for that matter. Your OPSEC wasn't good, but you're going to have relatives that are going to come to you saying, look, Dad, son, I need some help because I did not prepare. I poo-pooed your idea about preparedness, and now I'm finding out. And people who were down in Florida and Houston and Louisiana after Katrina, their mentality of preparedness is a no-brainer. Whether they've taken any action is a different story, but they realized that they were blatantly unprepared.
Well, and what you're saying is 100% accurate. Of course these things are going to happen. That's a given. Of course they're going to happen. But the way to get prepared is to do that right now. Right, Leon?
Yes, sir. Now is the time. Now is the day. It's the appointed day.
It is. It is. Don't wait. Don't tarry. Don't procrastinate. Get going. Take action. And you'll be very glad you did it. It's a very satisfying feeling to know that you've done something positive, right, Leon?
Yes, sir. And it's just like the training I constantly do. It's okay. I have one more tool in my tool belt, and so this is very simple, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It's just a matter of, okay, say you have problems sleeping. You know, lavender is a natural sedative. They have it in many pharmaceutical drugs, but they have chemical knockoffs. So I take lavender to go to sleep and lemon to stay asleep. So you take 1 or 2 drops a night, and I sleep like a baby. And now in the last 3 years, I've come out with Serenity, which increases REM sleep and depth of sleep much better. So it's really simple to use the oils every day.
Absolutely. Leon, thank you, sir. We'll have you back next week. Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, that's it for the day. Get medical supplies, your energy, clean your essential oils now while you can, your firearms and ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Have a fun, safe, productive day, and God bless America.